I started off 2021 by making a dramatic change to our living spaces I'd never dared to attempt before. Well, I dreamed of doing it, yet I allowed myself to think that it was totally unacceptable, completely impractical, and perhaps even a tad selfish to even consider. Perhaps it was accumulation of frustration and how quickly 2020 put the squeeze on my free spirit. Well, that kicked my hesitation right to the curb because I freaking did it anyway. And I have never, ever been so happy of saying no to tradition. But before I tell you what I did, let me introduce myself to you. Howdy, creative adventurers, first-time visitors, and armchair travelers. My name is Lille Diane. Please call me Lily. I'm a mixed media artist living in the picturesque Four Corners area of Southwest Colorado. That's why I call it my Postcard Life, because in every direction, there's a beautiful, beautiful postcard. I turned our home into a life-sized artist canvas. This is a dream come true because I've always wanted to have complete creative expression to do whatever I want to do with a home, regardless of affecting its resale value. So let me explain in case you're just meeting me for the first time. And it won't take you very long to figure it out if you are. Oh, I don't do beige. I don't do blah. My art is bright and vibrant and colorful and whimsical. I've been upcycling trash to treasure before it became trendy. Back then, we simply called it using what you have on hand or being frugal. It was a necessity to use what we have, not a privilege or a trend. We didn't go out and just buy something. We invented it. And some of you know exactly what I am talking about. You are going to learn that I am wild about eclectic mixes of boho-inspired patterns, bodacious color, and functional or non-functional upcycled bling. Woo, heavy on the bling. And I especially love to brag about how little I spent instead of how much it costs. Who else wants to fist bump on that note? Come on, give me a fist bump. Now, let me tell you what I did to start off my 2021 with a whole new enchilada. That's all pathetic, ain't it? Yeah, I did that. Oh, Lordy Pearl, what have y'all got yourselves into? I'm just saying. I hope you stay. Bring your kazoo if you do. I donated our formal living room furniture to our local restore and thrift store that supports battered women. Poof, gone. Just like I poofed off of social media. Why? Because we haven't hung out in our living room for more than 5 minutes since we moved into this house 3 years ago. And besides, we are not formal. Huh. Like I'm just learning this? Hello. Now don't get me wrong. I love the way our old living room looked. I created it intentionally. I wanted a fabulous 1960s inspired look to fit our vintage 1973 double-wide mobile home, and I spent a lot of time looking for just the right furniture. Do you see that orange velvet couch? Oh, baby, it was right out of the Rat Pack era, and it made me swoon every time I looked at it. Except I never swooned when I sat on it, and neither did anyone else, because it was a sleeper couch. Need I say more? I dreaded inviting people over and offering them a seat in our living room. I'm like, nope, it looks good, but you can't sit here because it ain't comfy. Nope, our sitting area was not dope, not one bit. Except to look at. Which reminds me of a story. One time I had this really, really pretty boyfriend. He was awesome to look at, but he had no depth, no support, and no ease of snuggling up to. He was just kind of blah and uncomfy. I gave him away too. I did. So, anyway, I digress. My art studio is adjacent to our living room, and as I mentioned, I outgrew that space 5 minutes after moving all my crap in, my art supplies. I have rearranged, I have shifted, I have stacked, I have rotated, and I have crammed stuff for over 3 years now. Trust me when I tell you that I have worked in some mighty cramped spaces through the years, and I'm betting that many of you have too. So I am always grateful to have a room that I can fully dedicate to my studio, except when my stash is bigger than my space, and I tend to be a little bit of a collector. I'm gonna call it a collector. Y'all might call it the H word. Well, I'm learning this is who I am, and I need to accept this about myself and work with my quirky design personality. Next week, we're going to be talking more about this. I'm going to help you uncover your quirky, one-of-a-kind design style. Truly, you have a personality that is uniquely yours, and it flows over into everything you do, including how you design your house. So we're going to just probably make you feel a whole lot better about the way you do things and discovering that there's nothing wrong with me. This is who I am. Oh, there's a lot of relief when you finally get to that stage of your life. Really, seriously, it is. 2020 stretched me in ways that I hadn't expected or experienced before. And I've had a quite adventurous life. And I'm fairly certain that you've had a similar 2020. All of my in-person teaching gigs and creative retreats were canceled. Shows, events, and opportunities that I had worked my entire life to achieve, gone in a flash as I watched my entire 2020 calendar crumble and dry right up on the vine. And then my best friend in a dog suit was diagnosed with terminal cancer at the beginning of March, just before the lockdown started. Toby, our 4-year-old Labrador, was a rescue, and ultimately, I've said this a million times, he rescued me. He totally rescued me. In miraculous, multiple ways, he became my service dog, and I became his service human. You see, Toby had PTSD just like me, and we recognized this in each other, and we instinctively knew when the other had been triggered. Isn't that what best friends are for? Toby knew when I was sick, often before I did, and he would station himself to help me get up from a chair, or he gently guided me to sit down safely. Oh, that big old lunk was as big as a couch and strong as an ox. If I hadn't known better, I would have thought he'd had formal training to be a service dog. Perhaps he thought the same thing about me. Maybe he thought that I'd been trained to be his very, very own service human.
What is that?
Because we were littermates, soulmates, and more. He stayed with us almost 6 months in spite of being given only 1 month. You know, I believe that he knew that I was struggling with the changes the pandemic created, causing my belly to buzz like a herd of bees. You know, change is always difficult for people with PTSD, agoraphobia, and anxiety. Be gentle on yourself and be gentle on others. I chose to leave social media, Facebook and Instagram, shortly after Toby's diagnosis. Poof, just like that, I disappeared off the grid. You know, looking back, I can clearly see now that it was the right thing for me to do, to jump off of social media and just protect my brain from all the input. I put all of my attention and all of my love on Toby. Even my art making took a back seat during this time. It dried up just like my calendar. And then in May, our rooster, Rudy, my buddy, my fine feathered friend, put his sparkly suit on, We knew he was old, but we had no idea how old he was. He came with the property along with 10 other female chickens when we bought this place. It was like really cool. I'd never had chickens before, and here we inherited them with the house.
That's my baby right there. Oh, Rudy. Buddy, I love you. How you doing? Oops. Okay, hold on, I got something for you.
I don't think Rudy ever had attention from a human before, and I fell madly in love with him. Through the fence, of course, because he was a fierce, fierce protector of his girls. And one time I came in and the sunlight was in his eyes and he couldn't see who I was, and ha-ka-cha! He did that. Ugh. Scared the you-know-what right out of me. So I gained some instant respect for his ability to protect his hens. We all need a Rudy in our life, don't we?
Cock-a-what? Cock-a-doodle-doo!
And the three of us, Rudy, Toby, and I, were besties. We were best of friends. Then one day, mid-May, Rudy didn't come out of the coop when we arrived with snacks and air kisses. My heart sank, and I knew, even before we got close to the chicken coop, that we were never going to see him race out to greet us again. Oh, my sweet Toby. He was so confused and instinctively curious when he saw Rudy's body. I swear he did a couple of head tilts. His buddy Rudy had never once lunged at him through the fence. Not once. I kind of think he loved having his very own dog and human. Don't we all? Then I realized there'd be no more morning wake-up crows, no more rooster running to meet me. Oh boy, I cried buckets of tears for that old bird. Buckets and buckets and buckets. And my Toby put his sparkly suit on the beginning of September. I mourned 4 months straight, often gasping for air when I woke up and realized the news was true. My boy was gone. Completely gone from this earthly plane, far away over the Rainbow Bridge. I still cry unexpectedly like I am doing now, and I look for him out of the corner of my eyes. I expect him to be behind the door when I come home. Dogs, cats, roosters, and pets of all type leave these deep, sweet footprints on our souls. This is an art journal spread I made before Toby went all sparkly on me, except for the blue paw print on my heart. I added it right before we buried him. Then, in my grief, I forgot about the brush and the paint and inadvertently let the paint dry with the brush stuck to the plastic lid. People who know me, I'm a fanatic about not wasting paint, and I do all kinds of things to save it. So you know, in this moment, I was not myself. 2 weeks later, I found it, and I hung it on my wall in my studio because it was the last thing that his paws touched. I'm such a mushy, mushy girl, I know. One day, about a month after Toby passed, I was showing the dried paint art to a friend. She suddenly pointed to it and exclaimed, "Look, it's Toby's silhouette." And then I looked and I saw it. His profile leapt out at me. Can you see it? I couldn't understand how I could have missed that big neon cosmic sign from my pup. And oh, so I was reminded again how the Creator never misses a chance to show us we are being watched over, especially when we feel completely alone or abandoned or sad or we're hurting. You know, timing is everything. It came at exactly the moment that I needed a hug from my puppy. I had been asking him for one. I missed him so much. And I am so grateful for the lessons grief has taught me and continues to teach me and encase me as I heal and discover that death is both a lover and a frenemy. Toby's departure influenced my need for change around our yard and home too. I wanted to trick my brain from bumping into all the old ghosts, precious as they were. They made me ache every time I walked through our house and he wasn't there. And in the same breath, I didn't want to change a thing. I didn't want to vacuum up his fur on the floor. I didn't want to put away his dog dish or, pick up that bone that I stepped on nearly every night. I wanted it to stay there. Well, I eventually did these things, but I'm going to tell you, I still have not washed the slobber off the front storm door. Nope. That's the only way he can still greet me when I come home. Nuff said. Here's another reason I decided to change our interior living space. I had been longing to revive a long ago dream of making bohemian-style upcycled clothing like I did in the early 70s. And I wanted to make art dolls. My art studio was too dang full to create a clean and tidy space for sewing, so I kept putting it off. Plus, and this is a huge plus, the room is also going to be large enough to incorporate an exercise area so I can do yoga and bounce on my rebounder. And it's also large enough to teach in should I decide to open my studio again after everything opens up to teach in. Winner, winner, chicken din. Oh, wait a second. Maybe this isn't an ideal time for a chicken joke. Perhaps this is the perfect time, because humor has always been my superpower. I can make a joke about chickens if I want to. Winner, winner, chicken is not what's for dinner. And I admit I have a hard time eating chicken after Rudy. Do you blame me? Another consideration was that we rarely have company. I mean, rarely, especially now with all the travel restrictions and social distancing. I openly admit that we are the hermity types. We're just hermits. We love our tranquility and our space and each other's company, and we're fine if we don't see other people for a long, long time. Except, of course, when they tell us we can't see people, and then I want to see all the people. You know what I mean? You do, right? You do. So if we have company, we have other areas that we can adapt for seating areas, and so we're not one bit concerned about it and how this is going to affect us further down the road. We'll just move some chairs around and stay flexible with this. For us, this was a perfect solution. Maybe you've been considering a bold move like this. Maybe you've been looking to expand your home office. I mean, the whole world has changed, hasn't it? Maybe you need a studio, or you need a place to tap dance, tango, or bust out your hula hoop. I hear people all the time tell me that they have no space to create a place to make art, do crafts, or sew, or even think. Perhaps you have a room that you aren't actually using. Isn't it time? Let's step away from that box. Let's rethink how you could make a living space truly fit you. Well, if you think about it, a room like a formal living room or dining room, well, they're hardly used today. And there's way more room outside of the box to make creative decisions when you stop believing that there's only one way to do anything, the original way. No. Let's bust out of that. In the past, I've even taken the doors off of a closet and turned it into an art-making nook, or a writer's corner, or a teeny office. Maybe you have a formal living room or dining room and you're just not using it. Look around, consider your options. Switch it up. It may be just the thing that your soul needed to get some spark and enthusiasm in your life. Isn't it time to create that sanctuary, to finish that book that you've always wanted to write? Or repurpose that dining room into a space that you can actually set your crafts up in, and you don't have to pick it up every night or worry if grease is going to get on something because you didn't wipe the table down, or someone decided to eat a sloppy Joe right on top of the new afghan you crocheted and were carefully blocking. You know what I'm talking about. That takes the joy out of making something when you've got to, clean it up and take it out again and set everything up. You lose your groove. No. Let's reinvent this thing. Your creativity matters. Why? Because art making helps a soul soar. It gives you, it's like medicine. It's like a happy pill. It's like the happiest happy pill I've ever known. Getting in to make something gives your brain a chance to shift and get out of that rut. You're stinking thinking. It's a boost. It's a hug. It's one of the best ways I know to trick my brain away from some loop I get stuck in when I'm feeling anxious or have anxiety or fear knocks on my door. Art making can reassure me that I'm okay. It helps me be in the now and remember that I'm safe and I'm okay and I'm loved. So convert those unused spaces in your home into a truly functional living space. You can always change it back if life requires it. I mean, it's so easy. And remember, nothing in life is permanent. Nothing. And every time I walk into this room now, it feels like I have a brand new pair of roller skates and a brand new key. My creativity has soared. I've been able to redesign my art studio now to be more efficient because I have new additional space. I actually have more room to hide crap. I mean, wait. I meant to say to store my art supplies. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, that. Being completely honest with you, I have never been this happy before with my creative space, ever. Ever. The extra space is also going to give me more room to complete other indoor projects slated to happen this winter and beyond. Now, these are exactly the projects that I am going to take you along with me as I create. I'm going to show you step by step what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and why. Sometimes all it takes is just a small shift in our perspective to figure stuff out. Trust your crazy ideas. Sometimes they are just what we need to make a change that can bring about new opportunities. It can flow fresh ideas our way. It can give us freedom and more productivity, or simply calm the sheet out of that stuff, ohm it right up. And do y'all remember the teapot lids that I posted in a video about a month ago? Well, there's a link right up here. We are going to jump straight into utilizing these little lovely nuggets of inspiration and design throughout my places and spaces. I'm going to start in the kitchen. We're also going to be adding color and textures with stencils, and we're going to learn how to make our own chalk paint. I'm going to take you with me as I tweak my new sewing area. We will make decorative hand-painted door accents. And how about learning how to hand paint a mural using stamps that you've made out of vegetables? Oh, this is the coolest thing ever. Have you ever heard of unicorn spit? Oh, baby. We are going to go wild in my bathroom to create a shower enclosure that a mermaid would just want to hang out for the rest of their lives and flip their flippers and whatever else they do. And let's not forget about the sink. Because it's kind of like an eyesore, dated and scruffy, and I am totally going to spruce it up. Now here's another bonus. Next week, we will begin talking about your personality type and how you can best discover and nurture your very own personal design style. So Buttercups, if you have questions or you just want to tell me that you cannot wait to see what I am going to show you next, well, drop me a comment below in the comment box. When you subscribe to my channel, I let out a hoop and a holler just like that. You can ask my Superman, because I usually scare the boop right out of him because I squeal. I do. I'm excitable that way, and you matter. You being here matters. So I'm wishing much love to you and yours. Please click like and share. Invite your friends to come hang out with us. And would you please hug your fur babies for me. I'll see you next week.